There we go, George. There's your outtake.
Yeah.
Everybody, welcome to another episode of Bodybuilding by Bodybuilders alongside co-hosts George the King Brown
Hey.
and one and only Justin Dees. Justin, what's happening?
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Special guest of the week, the one and only Sergio. Serge, thanks for being on, man.
What up? I'm back.
So, Sergio, you were actually the guest of the very first Bodybuilding by Bodybuilders that aired some months ago, and the show took a little hiatus, but we're back.
Is that a time that I did one show and I was never asked back again, or is that so good I couldn't top myself?
The show was so good we decided to not do any other episodes. One and done. So, you know, we've been discussing a lot of topics here, and last episode was about nationals. I think was fantastic. We want to first and foremost apologize to all you fans. We were having some audio issues that have been fixed. So thank you for your patience. But ironically enough, we actually compared the excitement and the energy of this nationals to when you were on stage, Sergio, in 2015. Do you remember what that feel was like when they pulled the three of you back out on stage?
Yeah, of course I remember, because I was actually already doing an interview with Peter McGuff. And I'm like, man, I think that they're going to pull us back out. And at that time, that's not a thing that they were doing on an amateur level. So Eddie Bracamani's like literally waiting by the stairs. And I'm like, man, I think they're going to put me up. And McGuff's like, nah, it's over. It's already over. And then while I'm doing mid-interview conversation, I think it was Mannion yelling at me, where's Sergio? So I had to go run and get back up there. So that was really cool. And it was just, man, we knew whoever won the supers was winning the overall. So not only was it bringing us three back out to win the class, it was for the whole show right then and there.
And that was exciting. I mean, obviously there was a little extra vested interest at the time. Sergio, you were still here, so we were hanging out and training together all the time. So seeing that was really exciting. And then this year, Brent Swanson and I are really close. So to see him up there, it wasn't the same, but it brought back so many of the nostalgic feelings and the excitement. So that was really cool to see. But it was a great episode. It was a good feeling. But there's a lot of new things going on in the NPC and the IFBB now compared to 2015. It seems almost as if, yes, it's the same sport, but everything has changed since then. Everything. So we're going to talk about some of those things today. But first, Sergio, we're going to spend some time talking to you. Justin, why don't you kick this thing off?
Sure.
And hit Sergio what you got for him.
Yeah. Okay. So, hey, bro, you look like you put on a lot of size since you've been training. I mean, a lot. So I was just curious, do you have a goal off-season weight? Because you're looking huge.
No, I usually don't do goals. And I actually don't even weigh myself. It's only because of Tito. He's real big on knowing what the weight is, just so he can put it with the pictures.
Right.
That I even weigh myself at all. I try not to weigh myself at all. So I don't usually have a goal, because I just feel like, man, it's just going to make me like deal with my anxieties. It's going to make me not eat, which I can tell in the mirror if I'm doing well or not. And really the main goal, and I've said this in several interviews, is we always have this weight goal. What size is this? You know, what size are your arms? What do you bench? My goal this off season, now that I finally got my fucking life together, was to see how many days in a row I could go being perfect. So if I was being perfect every day, like I mean perfect, then who cares what my weight is? That means I was doing the best I have. So I wanted to see if I can break my record, how many days in a row, you know, and sometimes shit happens. Sometimes stuff, you get sick, you know, like there's things that are out of your control. But that was my main goal, is I wanted to see what I could do if I just eat, sleep, and train for the whole year, pretty much.
Yeah. I'm excited. I got some stuff about you for later too, about who to look for next year. But one other question is, Did you set any goals for 2020 for yourself for competing?
Besides the Arnold, yeah, I got a couple small goals, but the main goal was I'm gonna do one competition, not in a relationship. So far I'm on that goal. I've never been able to do it before, and every time I get ready for a show, it's some woman in my life that actually takes me away from it. And I wanted to say for the first time in my life, I'm gonna do a whole competition year competing and being selfish and only thinking about my career and putting my career first and not having to worry about feeling bad or putting anyone else first. So that was the main goal. But as in show goals, I don't know. I just we were talking about before we started recording. I just feel like I'm a little different about things. I want to see where I'm at right now. I feel like a competition is your report card. So we can go and get in some special ed classes and probably get some better grades. But I'd rather go to the honor roll class and work my way up and find out where I'm at really, and kind of get these.
Oh, it's funny.
And grades that don't mean anything. And a lot of these shows overseas, and it has nothing to do with the promoter. It has nothing to do with the shows. It's just a lot of people don't travel to these overseas shows. So I could have done Romania. I could have done Japan. Everyone in those shows I've already beat. So in the social media game, which is what's going on right now, people are all about followers and these like notches on their belts that really don't mean anything. So for me to go out there, yeah, it's 10 G's for sure. I'll take 10 G's. But you know, the difference between 5th place and 4th place at the Arnold is 10 G's. So I would rather just shut it all down, put all my eggs into one basket, and then try and get that big purse at the Arnold.
Yep. You're going to test yourself in the deep waters. Oh.
Man, of course. And you know, and the last couple of Arnolds have been weak. They have. You know, going back to even back in Dallas and Cedric, that was weak. There was like the other last year, what was it? Before Bolnock and Curry, I think it was Cedric. And they've not been what they used to be back in the day. But of course, the Arnold I'm going to do is going to be fucking stacked. So we'll see. And you know bodybuilding. It's not what you look like by yourself. It's what you look like standing next to somebody.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the big thing with the social media game is that we'll post pictures of ourselves, and everyone looks like Mr. Olympia. They really do. And stature and height and stage presence, that's a thing that you can't get in social media. And when you're standing next to the largest bodybuilder in the world, you'll see where you're at. So I'm gonna find out where I'm at.
Awesome. I can't wait, man. I'll be there.
Me too. Thanks.
George.
Serge, I got 2 questions. Just like, what's your purpose in all of this? Like, as far as bodybuilding, and then, when it's all said and done, what do you want people to say about you as far as bodybuilding goes?
Of course, I have some like goals and stuff that I want to win just for myself. I mean, you're not going to be Michael Jordan's son and not want to win an NBA championship. So, of course, that's in my head. But that's so down the road, I don't even really think about it. I think you need to make playoffs first before you worry about trying to win an NBA championship, and that's the Arnold. So that's something that I've always wanted to get to. But on a bigger brand scheme, I want people to look back and say I changed something about the game. Either we care more about posing routines, we carry ourselves a little differently off stage, just something, like you can have a conversation with a bodybuilder and they don't just completely make you want to stop working out. I remember I watched Ronnie Coleman on The Tonight Show, and I almost gave up bodybuilding right then. It was like, holy shit, this is like the worst thing. He had some like snap away pants. I thought it was so embarrassing. And I just think that just like in the NBA, like you can dress a certain way, you can hold yourself a little bit better when you're not playing. So I would like people to say that they cared a little bit more about old school bodybuilding or put a little bit more effort into small things or attention to detail because of me. And that would be really cool if I changed that in the sport.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically bring it back to the way it was before, like social media, because, you kind of touched on that as far as like, people are in it for different things. So you want people basically to just go back for the love of bodybuilding.
Yeah, you know what I want to change in the sport is I'm sick and tired of hearing about what era is the best. I'm sick of that shit. Every single person is going to say that their era was the best, not only the competitor themselves or the fan that went to these shows. And why can't every generation be different, And And what if my generation is the generation of putting all of them together and making something out of that? You know, what if it's a little bit of old school, a little bit of the 90s, a little bit of the 2000s, you know? And I hope that that's something that I can do, rather than these stupid arguments of this is better, why can't we look like this? Like, if people could look like the golden era, we would. And there's obviously something different other than the supplements and stuff that are in bodybuilding. There's different foods, and there's just a whole plethora of things that we can name. But I want someone to be able to say that they can see a little bit of every generation in me. And if that's something that we could do as a whole, I think that'd be really cool for my generation.
So Sergio, you know, the people who know you know that you're eccentric, but you're extremely cerebral. And I think the people who don't know you very much, or people who don't know you or only know you through social media, have no idea how much intellect you have, how much history you know about the sport of bodybuilding, how really well grounded you are when it comes to the sport of bodybuilding, on how things are going compared to how they used to be. And listening to some of your answers now, people will get to learn that more. The question I have for you, that may take you a minute to answer, but I want to know, how much do you think about the importance of what you can do compared to what you're currently doing?
Yeah, I mean, literally everything that I do could be history, and that's crazy. Like, let's take away all my haters, and let's say the people that actually do support me, and even just are not even supporters of me, but supporters of bodybuilder, of just bodybuilding. If I win the Arnold, or even win the Olympia, everyone who witnessed that now can say for the rest of their lives they were there. But if I don't do it, that history is never going to exist. And I think there's a lot of things that I can do that will be really cool for the sport. But if I don't do my job, and I don't really, you know, tucker down and do the business of bodybuilding, then it's never going to happen. I'm just going to be another name in the sport. So I think sometimes I have to look at things from, like, of course, myself, but outside perspective too, of like, what's best for the sport. A lot of people get into the sport and they want to build up their resume. What can I get my pro card so I can put it on a resume and I can sell personal training or ebooks or whatever it is. I'm trying to bring something back to bodybuilding. Like, I don't even think about what I can get out of it. I want to figure out what I can improve in it, and then get in, get out, and say that I made a change, like I said earlier. But yeah, it's the pressure part of it is something that I have to deal with, because I have to pretend like it doesn't exist. That's the only way I know how to deal with it, is I just focus on me. And then when I do my job, the rewards that come from it are great, but I feel like everyone gets something from it. It's not just me. I think being able to sit and witness, like when I did the Olympia, for a perfect example, I had so many people come up to me and tell me that they were at the 84 Olympia where my dad held me up, and now they're watching me do the Olympia. Like, can't write that shit. Like, some of the shit I'm doing is like a book, except you can't write it. You can't even make this shit up. So stuff like that, I'm going to be able to have that no one's ever had. I'm the Dale Earnhardt Jr. of bodybuilding, and there's pluses and minuses to it. But I think if I were to do it all, you know, let's say I win it all, then man, that's going to be remembered forever. Like, forever. It doesn't even matter. I can win one and retire on stage. It still happened. Like I said at my speech at the press conference at the Olympia, I'm a living contradiction of everyone who talks shit about bodybuilding. Bodybuilding's not healthy. It's not good to do with your kids. Blah blah blah. It's not. It's literally living on. And all the people that hate the sport, they can hate it all they want. But while I'm still doing shows and I'm still winning or working my way up, it's literally living proof that this sport's living on through generations. I'm just a walking generation.
I knew this was going to be an in-depth answer, and I wanted to be sure that it was something that gave people who don't know you the ability to actually hear your real voice. Because those of us who actually know you a little more personally, we know how you think, we know how you feel. Most people don't get that side. So the second question then for you is, with the understanding and the realization that who you are and what you do, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, whether you want to deal with it or not, it is the reality that with your continued success, you can, should, and probably will go down as one of the most popular bodybuilders of all time. How do you think that that's going to project the early on Sergio Oliva Jr., the current Sergio Oliva Jr.? Because I believe this is now the beginning of your run. You know, be it 7, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever this run is going to be. This is the beginning now, 2020, and the later on Sergio Oliva.
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like when I got into this, I think like everyone, we don't really have a quite grasp on how bodybuilding works. You get into the gym and you gain like 20, 30 pounds in the first like year, you know, maybe even 6 months, and you just think in your head, oh, this is going to continue happening for the rest of your career. And that's why you see people on social media like, I'm gonna win this, I'm gonna be Mr. Olympia. People, I don't even know if people don't notice or not. I've never said anything about winning Mr. Olympia or posted that, or even when people comment you're gonna win Mr. Olympia, I don't even like it. I don't respond back to it. I think it's bad juju. I think so. The old me, I was all gun-ho and I thought it was very simple. And then you get hit in the face with a pro card and you stand next to pros and you realize this shit's really hard. So now I understand, man, it's bad luck, if anything, to say you're going to win Mr. Olympia. In the history of the sport, only Phil Heath is the only one that was said was going to win Mr. Olympia in the beginning of his career and actually won it. You know, excluding Arnold in days back then when there was literally like 8 guys in the world that are in shape. But since bodybuilding's been competitive, every person they've ever said is going to win the Mr. Olympia never did. And all the people they said you're never gonna always did. So if anything, now I'm on this stage where I want people to tell me I'm not going to win the Mr. Olympia. And that's kind of how I am now. I love the challenge and stuff like that. But once, let's say we fast forward now and there's the older me, like the Dexter Shawn me, who's been getting some pro wins and stuff like that and kind of has a better understanding of bodybuilding. I think I'll be looking back and just really wishing that I did a bunch of things differently and kind of put the career first and kind of wasn't on this like, oh, I'll take my time, you know, like, and you should. And that's the thing that I want to come across when I'm done with my career is that I took my time, no rushing. Even though I saw people younger than me doing better than me, winning better shows, now they're not even around anymore or they're not even alive. And I'll probably look back at the old me and say, I probably should have been more selfish and stuff like that. But I don't know. It really is going to come down to it. Man, this Arnold is everything. This Arnold is going to let me know if I can do it or not. Because before I had tons of excuses why I didn't. Oh, I had this issue, this personal problem. You know, and everybody really does it. When they're done with their show, they think about all the things that they fucked up, and then they say, next show, I'm not going to do this, or next show, I'm going to do this. Well, I've been doing that and saying that for like 10 years now. So now this is the first time I literally did it, and we're going to see what happens. So I'll be able to answer that question better after the Arnold because I'm either who they said I'm not, or I am who I am. So we'll see.
Hey, you know, Mandus, I wanted to say one thing because this is a true story about Sergio that's really cool. I think one of the biggest opportunities, you know, pro bodybuilders have, all the athletes that are pro have, is to make a difference in people's lives. And I have a client who I've trained for over 10 years, and she has an autistic daughter. And she comes to every training session with me. And her mom, she's always with, she comes to the Olympia. And they met Sergio at the Olympia. And it was like, she couldn't stop telling me about how great their experience was with him, how good he was to her. And, you know, this girl has autism, but she remembers stuff like no other. And she always talks about you, man. Her name's Bean and my client's name's Katie. But like, I think that's so cool because we live in a world, this sport is very selfish, but we don't interact as much anymore. You know, social media, everyone's in the microscope of what they post and, you know, what's real, what's not. It's lost a lot of like genuine just relationships and people, you know, communicating person to person. I just want to say thanks, man. I'm really grateful for that. And They'll never forget that. And I wish there were more people in the sport that took the time to do that.
Damn, that's awesome. But yeah, I can't even give myself that much credit. You know what it is? Is I've been on the other end, and back to the question of what will people take from my career when I'm done? It's gonna be, this is what you look like when you're born and raised in the sport. Because I have gone to so many expos and had so many letdowns, so many people I waited in line for, and then man, it really was just either lackluster or very disrespectful. And then now being that pro, I understand, you know what? Maybe they were low on carbs. Maybe they just got screwed by a supplement company. Maybe they're having marital. I understand both sides of it now. And I think that's something that not a lot of people are going to deal with. Just to use an example, Justin Compton, he told me he'd never been to an expo until he was the pro working it. I think that's crazy. I think if you're going to get into the sport, you need to go to these expos. You need to go to shows in person. There's so many of these social media pages that compare bodybuilders, and they've never even been to a show in their life. How do you even understand or grasp the concept of bodybuilding if you're only looking at one picture and another picture? So Justin, that's such a good story, and I love it. It makes me feel really good. But it's just because I've had so many bad experiences that I want to make sure that everyone gets, a highlight of their life if I can. Not everyone's gonna be like Kai. Kai will seriously sit and talk for like 3 hours. You're in line waiting for him, and you're like, "Oh my God, please shut up." So there's a borderline. You don't want to talk too long. But at the meet the greets for the Olympia, when I did it, I was last person there by a long shot, and it was crazy looking around. And yeah, you know what? I'm not in the running for the Olympia. If I was in that top first call out, I probably would have cut it short because I probably need to focus on the show. But it was interesting to see how many people couldn't wait to get out of there, and they were rushing. And I don't know, I just felt like, man, some of these people, especially the Olympia, they travel all over the world to come see. But I love that. And I also want, she's a female, so that's not the best example. But for males, I want them to meet me and be like, man, you know what? You can do this and be articulate. You don't have to be a lunk. You can actually hold a conversation. And sometimes that's not bodybuilding. That's
you don't have to be a meathead. Just say it, meathead.
Yeah, I mean it's true though. But so I just want it to be different. I want people to be like, man, exactly different.
Justin, I'm glad you said that. Again, those of us who know him, if you've ever seen Sergio around people, you know why he gets along with kids? Because he's a 300-pound child himself. He wants to crack jokes and make people feel good and laugh and have a good time. And then when it's time to be serious, he's serious. I've personally witnessed him laughing and hanging out with people at shows unequivocally as if he knew them. So that's definitely, it's not a put on. He's not doing it just because he's standing at a booth. That is genuinely who he is. And as a matter of fact, as you guys see, we're probably going to post several pictures of him with kids and people in the audience here on the screen as we're talking about this, because it's very fitting. Let's talk about some topics. All right. We'll just go around the horn. George, you were there from behind the scenes. So we'll start with you on this one. The Olympia was under new guidance this year. We had Dan Solomon, who now heads out the Olympia, and we had Tamer El Gundi, who was then the producer of the Olympia. Give us your insight on the overall Olympia production this year compared to years past.
Well, I seen tailor-made suits. I seen headsets. Celebrities, Shaq, Mark Wahlberg, Busta Rhymes. So it was a show. It was sold out, right? And the energy was there. This is the first year that they added different divisions on. So I got a different perspective on what it's like to be on that stage at night, and there's a lot of people. But overall production is great. I talked to a couple of them. Actually, Tamer's brother, and he was like, they want to make it like that. They want to make it just like an NBA Finals night, or like the other sports, And I told him I think that's what they're doing, because you just walking around, moseying around. Oh shoot, there goes Shaq. Hey, come on, y'all, let's go take a picture with Shaq. And Shaq is at a bodybuilding event. You see what I mean? And so he could be anywhere in the world. So that's just letting you know where the sport is going. And I'm glad I was a part of it. And it was definitely, something that you can look forward to see what it's going to be like next.
And George, a lot of people don't know, you actually made history. So the men's physique division for the first time was on the big stage Saturday night. You were the very first men's physique IFBB Pro to walk out on the big stage Saturday night in Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's history, man. What was that like?
Honestly, we didn't really get a run through, so I've been on, I've done a lot of shows, I'm gonna be honest, and you walk through the smoke. And so, I didn't do my routine. So I'm walking, trying to be cool, but at the same time, I'm looking around like, man, all you see is lights, and and it's just it was an experience, to say the least. So I think I did a pretty good job by making it like I wasn't just, looking around,
In
but
awe.
it was, yeah, in all. I mean, because it was sold out. All the other years, it was a lot of people there, but it was just an experience, and I'm glad it was me, and I'm glad I was able to do it.
Great representative of your division, man. Congratulations, George.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Justin.
So ironically, this is the first Olympia I didn't attend in like the last 15 years. So, so I'll give you a perspective from probably what most people see it from. I was watching it on my phone, streaming on the beach in Hawaii for my anniversary. So
Not a bad place to be.
yeah, but my point is, to me, it looked like the production was a much higher level production. I know in the past I've had problems with the streaming and all that, and but the way, from my perspective, as a total spectator, not being there in person, I thought it was great. I thought they did a great job, but I don't have any more input than that because I wasn't there.
Sergio, you've been on both sides. You've been in the stand. You've got the most experience when it comes to being at the Olympias on this panel. And you've not only been there as a child, you've been there as an adult, as a competitor watching, and as a competitor competing. So what was your take of the production this year compared to years past?
Yeah, I mean, years past, it's been a letdown because I also went to see the Olympia in Atlanta and Chicago and New York, and when it used to be in Long Beach, when it used to travel. And I think people that are in the sport now don't even know that it used to travel. They don't even know that there used to be someone who was a big part of bodybuilding. And I think you could talk about it now because there's other federations now, so it's not like a blackball thing. But there was a guy named Wayne Amelia who used to run the Olympia, and that guy is the one who had the account to have it at Mandalay Bay. That's when they would come out of the floor. The O would turn around and they were on it, and it just had these huge, crazy backgrounds and budget. And then no matter what, it slowly started to lose its ump. We had the 1 year where they walked down the stairs, which was really cool, but presentation is everything. Like as watching it as a fan, we want to see them come out. You know what? And we even lost where they would do their interview before they came out. I don't know if people remember. They would talk about what got them into bodybuilding, and that person would come out. We lost that too. There was a lot of just character that we lost in Olympia. And I think that just happens when you have someone who's just kind of getting burned out. And I think Robyn Chang was getting burned out. I don't think that he's lost any love for bodybuilding or anything like that. I think he's kind of like, what can he do with what's available? And Dan, man, Dan is one of the biggest bodybuilding fans in the sport. He's one of the ones that are doing stuff like this and not getting paid. And he was doing that. He had Pro Bodybuilding Weekly. I used to listen to that when I first started. So it was really cool to see someone who cares about the sport doing it. There was a lot of stuff behind backstage, that there was a lot of stuff for competitors. That was definitely an upgrade. But besides the webcast, I mean, you were watching in Hawaii, right? It was so zoomed in that you couldn't even really tell. Everyone looked like shit. So the webcast was really bad. And so what I'm saying is we're all saying it was better, but people at home are probably saying, they don't really even notice the difference. So I think if we could fix the webcast, I think people at home would be able to notice that it is getting better. And I bet you next year is going to be even better.
You know, I think it's really interesting, considering a competitive level. This year was probably one of the least interesting Olympias as far as athletes were competing because of all the names and the people that weren't there. And with that happening, we can still talk about how much better, how much bigger, and how much more exciting the overall production of the Olympia was. I think people will notice it even that much more in year two, because not only will they do better and do more, but we're going to see a much improved production from years past with a much improved lineup as well. So the buzz and the hype is going to be that much greater. Sergio, I agree with you. I think it'll be interesting to see how much Dan brings back some of the stories and the personalities, and I'm sure he's going to listen and watch the show, and whether they were already thinking about it or not, now he may be, because Dan is about storylines. Dan is always about storylines, and he said to me, that's what matters more, is the story. So it'll be very interesting to see how much of that they start to reincorporate in year two. You can only change so much in year one. And I think they did an absolutely fantastic job. I cannot wait to see what's in store for year two and for the future.
You can compare this Olympia and the bodybuilding year and last year's to the NBA. Last year's NBA, there was a lot of injuries, so it took certain people out. We didn't have Kevin Durant, so we don't even know what would have happened if we had him. We lost our Mr. Olympic. We don't know. And then the Olympic team for the NBA lost for the first time ever. But who was on that team? Nobody. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So Australia or whatever country won is running around saying, oh, I won. But the fans are like, nobody competed. Nobody was there. And now what are we all? We're all excited about this basketball. All these new matchups, all these new teams, all these people on new, lineups. And that's what next year is going to be in bodybuilding.
Absolutely.
Everybody's back. I can't wait to see, I'm competing in the Arnold, but I'm still a fan. I can't wait to see how big Robbie's stuff, because man, this guy looks like year off, and now I want to see what he looks like. I want to see what Kevin Durant is going to do on Brooklyn, So, and losing Sean is for the Olympia. No matter what anybody wants to talk about, that affected it big time.
Absolutely.
We lost 2 Mr. Olympias, not 1, and now we're left with people that beat my ass, absolutely better than any of us, but still, it's not our president. It's not our
Right.
ambassador sport. So I think we kind of just wanted to be like done with last year, and everyone's looking forward to this year, like it was in basketball.
Guys, we're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back after these messages. Hey, everybody, we're back from commercial break. Another episode of Bodybuilding by Bodybuilders. Guys, before we go on, for those of you who are loving what you're hearing so far, we want to hear you comment below. But we also want to hear who you want to have as the next guest. And sure, go ahead and tell us how often you want us to have Sergio on. It can't be too often, though, guys. All right? He's not going to be a co-host. We're just telling you now. He's an athlete. So,
Fuck that
guy. Hey, 3 weeks out from the Olympia, you'll have or from the Arnold, you'll have a bunch of haterade going on again, anyway, Sergio. So
I know it's making too many people like me by taking the year off.
Hey, are you maybe one of the most loved hate relationship athletes we have currently?
Yeah, I just think it's just because you get one of two things. You get people that don't associate on social media at all. Like take a Brandon Curry. People didn't even know what he sounded like till he won Mr. Olympia. Or you'll have people that all they do is social media. They literally have 1 million followers and can't win a show. And I'm just over here saying, fuck social media. So well, I wouldn't like me either. You're literally telling me the way I make all my money is cheap and stupid and worthless. So yeah, I would hate me too. But it really comes down to expectation. And that's what it is. If my dad wasn't my dad, people would be like, man, you know what? This guy's pretty good. And Aceto said it best. If I win, it's like this. Well, yeah, you're supposed to. This is Sergio
Yeah.
And then if I
Yeah.
don't win, see, I told you
Yeah.
he's never gonna make it. He's never gonna be anything. And that's just how it is, unfortunately. So it's
Yeah,
all
but also,
damned if you don't.
yeah, but also, you tell the truth. You know,
Yeah, he
and
does.
people don't like that. Trust me.
This is what I say all the time. It's the Matrix red pill, blue pill.
Yeah, you tell the truth.
Some people want the fake reality. They want to be told that they're the best and they're doing great. And then here's me posting, hey, congrats to everybody who's doing nationals and not winning it at some stupid little show. You know, that pisses people off. That makes people upset. They might have won their pro card at a junior USA's taking second place. And now here I am making a post about how you're not a real pro. Like, it's still the truth, but people don't want to hear it.
I'll give you a little example of what you just said, and I won't say names because I don't want to get a phone call. But it's really not a bad thing. But here, there has to be more pro cards awarded now, just because there's so many more people competing. Okay, we know that. So just statistically speaking, there has to be more. However, there is absolutely truth to the statement of finishing first at nationals is definitively different than finishing second at another show or in a pro qualifier, which we needed to have worldwide because there was too many people who didn't have the opportunity. But unfortunately, because you can't regulate that, there are times where pro cards are going out to somebody who is not of pro quality yet. They were just the best on that stage at that particular little show at that particular time.
Right.
And I had somebody say to me at nationals, again, very credible. It was not insulting at all. And we were talking about Brent Swanson. And he's been in the top 5 for the last like 4 or 5 years at USA's, at nationals, at the Amateur Olympia. So major shows. And the conversation we had was, should we maybe go to one of these other countries and do a pro qualifier and win that way? And the answer I got was a turnaround, looked at me dead in the face and say, if he wants to get his pro card at a show where he didn't really earn it, sure. Or he could just get better, come back, do nationals again, and see if he can get it there. That's exactly what you just said, Sergio, just in a little bit different context. And again, it's not to discredit somebody else who has gotten a pro card in a different avenue. The opportunities are there, right? So when they compete, they're only competing in a show that they have an opportunity. So kudos to them. However, there is a difference between second place at some show or a pro qualifier where there's only X amount of athletes and winning a class at nationals. We do know that to be a difference. So
I don't think there's a problem with taking second place at nationals or USA's, those shows. But at a junior show,
right,
it's a completely different subject. Right, exactly. But that's just the difference. That's the difference of people. The majority of people that took those second places at a junior show never even stepped on a pro stage. They never even wanted to or intended to. They wanted to put it in their Instagram bio or put it on their business card so they can sell personal training. And some people get into the sport, and that's what I was saying. Some people get into it so they can compete against the big boys. It's the same thing in all sports. If you played football and you got drafted, whatever, the 80th round, you're never going to play ball. You're going to be third string. But you know what? You got a jersey. You get to travel with the team. That's sick as fuck. You get to play, but you're never going to go against any pro athlete ever. So there's the difference. And so when someone's walking around, they're like, oh, I'm a professional football player, but you've never played. It's the same thing as walking around saying I'm a pro open bodybuilder and you've never even done an open show before. Or worse, and I got a lot of shit on social media, this is my biggest gripe in the sport. People are now deteriorating their bodies to drop down to a class because it's easier to get a pro card. So I could be an open bodybuilder my whole life. I'm trying. I want to be this guy. I want to be like that guy. Oh, there's a new class that I can get a pro card from. Let me lose 25 pounds of muscle so I can enter this class so I can say I'm a pro. And that's the shit I'm never going to be able to do.
Well, yeah, and the crazy thing is people, I mean, junior nationals, junior USAs, they didn't used to be pro qualifiers, as you know. And so I think, in my opinion, it's lost some prestige because they give out so many. I mean, there used to only be 2 every year, USAs and nationals.
So just to clarify, though, Junior USA's is still a junior show. There's less pro cards, so you have to win your class, and then there's six class winners, depending on what division you're in. It's only the top 3 of that overall that actually get their pro cards. So
in classic, you can get. I know someone who got second in their class.
Yeah,
which is like ABCD class, and they got second in that class. Now they're a pro, and now they're walking around. See, I told you I was going to be a pro.
Yeah, and especially in the beginning when they were trying to feed the pro league, some of that was happening. But as they've done in years past, after a few years, they've made adjustments to some of those things in some of the shows. So we know the brass is smart enough to make the proper adjustments moving forward. Again, it's a numbers game, and you have to give out X amount because there's that many more competing, but you still want the quality to be high. Our sport's in great hands with Pittsburgh at the driver's seat. They'll make the necessary adjustments, and the cream will always rise to the top.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's like the NBA or something. You can, it's a lot of people that played in the NBA, but we know who is an actual NBA player.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you're not good.
Yeah, right. Let's move on to the next topic. Sergio, we'll start with you. Segue from the Olympia production. What do you think about Robyn Chang's work in the last year or two and the growth of the NPC worldwide and the IFBB Professional League worldwide? That's one of the changes we talked about from when you won in 2015 to now. We are a global sport, guys. Think about the origin. Shows used to be done in a gymnasium, in a high school gymnasium under a basketball ring, for decades. Unfortunately, there's still a few promoters who do that. Unfortunately, but we are now global. Nobody would have ever dreamed that the NPC Worldwide, and the IFBB Professional League would have gone to this vast of a reach. What do you see happening and Sergio?
I think it's great, especially because as Americans we only know about what happens in our country. We only care about stuff that's important to us. But man, there's a lot of athletes around the world that only make one person pro all year before we started branching out, and people don't know that. A lot of people know I spent a lot of time in Australia, so I know in Australia they only make one person pro, one guy pro all year, not one per class. The overall winner of that show goes pro. So they only have chances like the Olympia Amateur and the Arnold Amateur to even get a second chance. So now branching out and giving them more opportunities so that they could get pro cards or even be seen is so great. And sending someone out professional who's already been running the game at the top level like Robyn Chang kind of gets rid of a lot of trial and error right away from the beginning, because sending someone out there and then it being a clusterfuck is only going to make us pull back, and we don't want to do that. So it's like a done deal, and it's going really good, and I'm really happy for all those people out there.
Justin?
Well, at the end of the day, I think we're all huge fans of bodybuilding, the lifestyle, the sport at every level. And so anything that makes it improve and grow globally I love it. I think it's amazing. And I think it's been a long time coming. So I'm excited. I think it's great. I think we'll see a lot of cool competitors come out from other countries that will make a big impact. I think it's awesome.
George?
I'm agreeing with Justin. It's anytime you can go, worldwide in anything, that's a good thing, And like Serge said, it's providing opportunities for some of those people who maybe can't get to, shows or didn't have the opportunity to do it. So, like you said, they always make the right choices, and this is just another thing that's putting us in a better position to continue to grow and expand.
Yeah, I think there's really nothing better that has changed in the sport. If there was one singular adjustment that's been made in recent history, I think this would be it. Sergio, like you said, us here in the States, we're very close-minded in thinking everything is only about us and Americans and what we do and the Arnold and the Olympia. We're not realizing that there were so many other high-quality athletes worldwide. But not only that, the athletes here in the States who are very good at what they do, this gives you guys so much more opportunity to actually make a legitimate living. Again, not only from fans and athletes here in the States, but worldwide. This opens things up for competitive athletes. It opens things up economically. It opens things up competitively. It's only a positive and a plus all the way around. Robyn Chang was, Sergio, like you said, the perfect guy to go out and make sure that the things that are supposed to be structured in other countries and in sometimes almost third world places, that they understand this is how we operate. This is how things are done. This is how you have to run your programs. Let's help put it in order, which is why we haven't heard of too many bad situations or issues around the world, because he's been in charge and has kind of laid out the groundwork of how things are going to happen. I think it's going to be phenomenal in years to come as we see more and more international athletes. And guys, let's face it, at the end of the day, it didn't matter what sport you in. Every athlete only wants to compete against the other best athletes in the world and beat them. So there'll be a day where at the Olympia, you'll see 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 different countries represented. Think of how many more people will be watching, which will equate to how much more money will guys like you, George, and you, Sergio, be able to make, because there's that many more fans and there's that many more opportunities. So kudos to the crew, to the brass, to Robyn. The sky's the limit, and we're well on our way. It's exciting. Very exciting. So now we're going to talk about a matter of opinion here on a couple of things, and it'll get a little personal. Justin, who are your two favorite up-and-coming open bodybuilders that you expect to do big things over the next, let's say, 8 to 10 years?
So I couldn't pick just two because there's so many good ones. Like, I kept thinking, I have this list here, and I can't do it justice with just two.
Okay.
So
well,
I'm just going to tell you the ones.
Two and then leave a third.
Okay. Well, like, I'm really excited to see Patrick Moore this year. I think he made a huge statement at the Olympia. If he can put on size, I think he's got an unbelievable physique. I think he'll surprise people. I can't wait to see Sergio compete at the Arnold because he's taking a lot of time off. I watch him on social media. He trains hard. I know I can see like this fire in him, so I'm excited to see that. Other people, though, little honorable mentions. I mean, Antoine Valiant, Regan Grimes, and I can't wait to see
Canada. Where's your flag?
But those guys, those guys are all amazing. So I think it's going to be an awesome year for the sport.
George?
So I like personality, and I still like hard work as well. So one of my guys that I just always like is Nate Diasha. I just like him. I like how he has a pulse. It's just like Serge said. Like it's not like sometimes I talk to some bodybuilders and it's like, are you even alive? And then you get a surge. Where yeah, in the beginning, I'm gonna be honest. Like I had a different opinion of you before I actually talked to you, and I think that that's what it is. Once you get to know him, like he's a straight shooter. So a lot of things that you say get trickled down to other people and then get twisted and turned up when you really didn't even hear the question that somebody asked you. So my other guy, Serge, I like him. Once again, he's a straight shooter. He's not saying it's not going to take time. He's very realistic about the positions that he's in. He's open. He can speak, and it's entertainment because that's what we're in. It's entertainment, but as well, it's backed by the proof in the pudding. So those are my two guys, a New York Pro winner and another New York Pro winner. So there we go.
All right, Sergio, you're gonna go last. So I got Patrick Moore up there as one of my guys, and boy, we're gonna start sounding like homers now, huh? Some of this is a combination of things. Patrick Moore, I've got up there because that shape and that structure, I believe we're gonna see over the next 8 to 10 years. We're going to see shape and balance and symmetry mean a lot more again. I'm not saying that size is always it's bodybuilding. It's how big you can get. But I believe that you're going to see size while keeping the integrity of an aesthetic shape pretty. That's just where I believe things are going to go. So Patrick Moore for me. And the other person is Sergio. And I'll give you guys a couple of reasons. One of them is the intellect of understanding that it takes time. He's not delusional to say, I'm going to win it all this year or even next year. As a matter of fact, I heard him years ago say, hey, you know what? If I just sit back and do what I'm supposed to do year after year after year, realistically, there'll only be a handful of us who have the opportunity to be the top 4, top 5 in the world. So if I sit back, barring injuries and something catastrophic happen, I'm on pace too. And that's something that is a reality as an open bodybuilder, but I've never heard any other young athlete say that. And it's almost sad because they have a delusional grandeurs of, well, I know I'm going to be good. I know I can be pretty good. This should happen this year, next year. And that's just not the case in that division. And then his shape, balance, symmetry, again, similar to a Patrick Moore. So I'm a huge fan of those styles. But then I'll also say, on a personal level, I know the guy. I know what's inside his head. I've seen his work ethic. I've seen his commitment. I've trained with him enough times to know there's a lot of psychotic in his mind. Some of the things that I've literally tried, I have tried to put him through workouts that he should not have been able to finish, and he would crawl. There's a video of him crawling from one machine to the other, and as he crawled, it was a pool of water. Literally. We'll put the video up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. There was pools of water. And as I'm screaming at him to do more and do more, he's screaming louder so he can finish. He's not all upstairs. Not everything. There's a nuttiness that it takes to be able to do things at a certain level that I don't know if one or two of the other guys that I would like to put in that list have. I'm not saying they don't, but I haven't seen it and I haven't heard it. So I'll put Regan Grimes in an honorable mention. He's a guy who we thought had all the potential in the world. He does have all the potential in the world. He's got great shape. He's got great symmetry. He's got big round muscle bellies. He's pretty to look at. But we've already seen him bounce a few divisions, walk away for a little while to drop weight. talked about, worried about his health and all that. And again, not discrediting any of those things, but does he have that switch? Does he have that insane switch that I personally believe any champion in this sport has to have to be able to get the depths of what you need to do to eventually one day be an Arnold Classic champion, let alone a Mr. Olympia. And I know the guy that's sitting here with us has those things. So those are the two guys that I've got on my list at 1 or 2, and with Regan Grimes as an honorable mention.
So what you're saying is Serge is going to pay the fee.
George, it's what he says when we talk.
I'm gonna
he
pay
said,
that fee.
I'm gonna pay. I don't care what it is. I'm gonna pay the fee.
Yeah.
He'll pay the fee, no matter how big it is.
It's true. I don't want to make Justin mad, but I'll pay with food stamps too.
No politics on this show.
I'm using the country. All right, so I guess it's my turn. I'm gonna go with Antoine because there's a lot of hype in Canada about other people. When Antoine showed that he can get injured right before a show and come back, which is very hard to do. And anyone with genetics or a good prep coach like Patrick can do this. You can. But I've seen a lot of people growing up in this sport where I'm like, man, that person's going to for sure win Mr. Olympia. And then they disappear. And it's because you do have to have that where you go below your lowest and still somehow find enough energy and motivation to want to be better and come back. And Antoine carrying a bicep right before a show should have took out the best bodybuilders mentally. So I would put him on there, and then the other person I want to give note to is Holland Sheed, who's out in the UK, and that man, he trains hard, and him and Luke training together, I think will be big things. But just because you guys were talking about Patrick, I want to show you this is how bodybuilding works. But Patrick almost lost the cow to another guy. I forget how to say his name too. He's like a really like pretty looking guy who's got legs that are like insane, but because he lost, no one talked about him, and we don't even know him. I don't even remember his name. But Patrick gets better because of Aceto at the Olympia, and now he's the most talked about. But if you had just switched that 1 or 2 points that he won by, no one would be talking about Patrick. And that's what I like to remind Patrick all the time, because me and him are boys. We've been together since Labrada, and I like to remind him that, man, do not get all excited about these people that are, I was always there for you, because that's not true. So sometimes people are lurking like this guy. You can look it up, or you'll probably pull up pictures from the cow who took second place. And it was close, and a lot of people thought he should have won. And someone like that, and someone like who works really hard, like Holland Sheed in the UK, without any sponsors, or Antoine, who can come back from an injury, are my type of pros to keep an eye out for.
Sounds familiar. Do you guys hear the resemblance then of one psycho talking about a couple of other psychopaths? So you're. It sounds, Sergio, that you're basing things more off of the mentality of someone being able to handle the rigors and the grind of what it'll eventually take to become a champion. I mean, over just genetics.
One of the pluses of moving out to go Venice first instead of coming straight to San Diego is I got to have Sean Roden and Dexter as my workout partners, right? So those are 2 people that fall into the genetics category, right? So they for sure have all that settled. But they have put in more than a 10-year of losing, which a lot of pros today won't do. They will not take a good 10 years of losing and know that last 5, you're going to win every single show and break records and win Mr. Olympia. So I just learned over being a bodybuilder, being a son of a bodybuilder, and being a fan of bodybuilding, that your genetics and your abs mean nothing. It doesn't. You do need to have a good coach, which a lot of people do have, but you have to be able to go through some bullshit and come back. And that's who are the ones who last. So open pros that are up and coming, they should ask themselves, can you do a 10-year? Can you do 10 years of losing and know that the end of your career is going to be good? And I think a majority of these guys won't. I know Regan won't.
So, next topic. Let's go right into it. Sergio, we'll start with you. Who's going to win the 2020 Mr. Olympia?
Phil Heath. That's easy. This is easy. It's just like stats back in the day. Who was the best? You have to say, besides Phil Heath, who's going to win the Olympia? Because if he comes back and he's fixed his stomach, it's not even a question. And anyone who thinks it's a question is not paying attention to bodybuilding.
Justin?
I 100% agree with what Sergio just said. No one is on his level. So if he comes back, no one's going to beat him.
The question
He's
isn't
so
if he comes back. It's who's going to win the 2020 Olympia, period.
Well, I hope he comes back, so I'm going to say Phil.
Okay. George?
Phil has me blocked. Let me tell you why. Because Sean Roten, right? Because Serge, you said nobody ever said that they was going to win the Olympia. It did. Sean Roten did the year before he won.
No. I'm saying no one ever said that they're going to win it.
Oh, okay.
Not them saying it about themselves. Bodybuilders are egotistical. They all say it sometimes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No, and I'm saying, no one ever said Sean was going to win. No heads of bodybuilding said that he was going to win, etc. Yeah.
Well, Sean said it, and Sean ended up winning, right? And I got blocked. But anyway,
Phil, can you please unblock George Brown now?
No.
I'm gonna message him. I'll tell him.
Anyway, like you said, if I mean, I don't know. If Phil does it, then yeah, of course. I don't know. I would say either Phil or Sean. If Sean does it, either one or two.
You're on record.
Well, I can help you out. Sean's not doing it. So.
Well, Phil Heath did. I mean, it's not even close. Like you said, it's like this is a dull
I
question.
think we should just say besides Phil Heath because
besides. Okay, that's good.
Phil Heath wins the 2020 Mr. Olympia.
Of course, he's gonna win every single one he competes in.
Well, except for the last one.
Well, he had a hernia, like his stomach exploded inside of him, and see that's another thing too. If you don't talk, if you're not a bodybuilder who's like, oh, this hurts, this happened, and if you're not one of those bodybuilders, people don't know. So if you're like me, if that happened to me, Mandus, you would be telling people, yo, do you even know that this guy's internal abdominal?
Hey, you ever seen the movie Troy? You remember when he twisted his ankle and Brad Pitt said, don't let no twisted ankle take my glory?
Yeah, unfortunately, he wasn't doing abs and ankles.
I'm just saying.
That he was getting.
It happened. His stomach exploded. It happened.
And he still kept training, and he still kept competing, and he still got second. He's still the second best bodybuilder in the world, and his fucking insides are deteriorating.
Yeah. Well, you can't take nothing away, but he's 7-time Mr. Olympia. I mean, that's not the question.
I'm just saying, if he had did a road to the Olympia, here's my injury, and did a sappy ass story where he's in the hospital all bad.
True.
We would have been like, holy shit, with all that, you looked amazing.
The perception would have been different.
Exactly. Right.
Correct.
And I heard he fixed it. I'm just saying.
2020 Mr. Olympia.
I'm just saying.
Guys, another great episode. Sergio, thanks for being on, as always. Again, we hope you guys enjoyed what we put out here for you. There will be much more to come. We've got many, many topics to cover, as you're going to be having an episode of Bodybuilding by Bodybuilders at least 3 times a month. If it comes to popular demand, it'll be every week. You guys got to let us know what topics you want to hear us cover. Let us know you enjoy it. Watch, share. It'll be out there. Until next time, co-host George Brown, Justin Dees, Mandus Buckle, our special guest.
See you guys.
Thanks. We'll be back next week.